Quantrax, makers of RMEx, have made the best collection software even better, and we are pleased to introduce the latest in RMEx technology. We are taking the user experience to a new level. This product revolutionizes the interaction between the agent and the system. The advantages for compliance, work standards, and agent productivity are greatly increased while using the same database technology and software that has supported your business since you implemented RMEx. And it presents all your data in a modern, user-friendly manner in a web-based environment that you can deploy anywhere. The RMEx GUI application has many added features for all areas of your collection environment. We will present a few of these extremely powerful tools to you today. Please keep in mind these features run on a separate PC server. Let's take a look at the newly designed and robust dashboard. But before we do that, let's take a look at where we began. The online collector productivity. To access the dashboard features, you will go from the management menu and click on the dashboard icon. The executive dashboard is an extremely powerful tool that can be used at different levels within your company, from executives to projecting collector stats to the entire floor to see. The home page shows collector productivity using a bar graph to indicate the number of attempts, contacts, right party contacts, and so on. On the right side, you're going to see payments and commissions posted for the day, as well as a daily target value, including month and year-to-date totals. To the bottom right-hand side, we show you a pie chart of the total promises and money summary. Now, let's take a look at some of the additional data available. Payments and fees posted for the day, along with payment and fee histories up to the current month. Client ranking shows placement and fees by client for the month. Under the More tab, you find promises and company statistics, and we have two collector tabs, the first showing collector productivity and the second showing collector ranking. Top collector for the day in positive contacts and payments posted, top collector for the month in payments as well as fees. This information runs in batch and updates every 15 minutes to avoid taking any additional resources from your AS400 iSeries. You may be asking yourself, what about day-to-day operations? Will I lose any of my current functionality? No, when navigating through the RMEx GUI, you will continue to have full use of your function keys with the added bonus of point and click. As you will see, the layout and the designs of the menus have not changed. You can either point and click, or you can use your function keys to access any and all screens and menus as normal. One of the things that you'll notice as we go through this is the layout and the designs of the screens have also not been changed. Since this is the first phase of our GUI deployment, we've concentrated our design efforts into what we think, and hope you will too, to be the most accessed and important area of the system, the account detail screen. We've not only redesigned the account detail screen, but we've added the events window. This is a complete change to how the collectors can work accounts. It could be described as a new scripting engine that guides a collector through a series of steps, making sure that the correct questions are asked, the right information is obtained, and the accounts are worked in the best way. And the best part of this process is the correct smart code can be applied without a collector entering or having to remember a single smart code. There are two types of events. There are 11 system-defined main events and up to 99 user-defined sub-events for each main event. So as we look here, we will see the 11 main events that can be presented to collectors. By default, events are expandable, meaning that one event can trigger numerous sub-events. However, one of the most powerful tools you have when setting up events is your ability to decide whether an event should expand or how much work should be done on an account based on the client, the user, description code, account status, ACAT, whether the account is legal or non-legal, or based on the linked balance. So since an event allows for a smart code to be entered, smart code use by the collector is no longer the primary source for updating accounts. Now let's look at the event setup. On option 2 next to the main event will allow you to change or modify any main event that you currently have set up. And as you will see, we do require a smart code for each and every event. However, you do not have to apply the smart code. You have the option that if the smart code is expandable or if the event is expandable, not to apply that particular smart code. You can assign a dynamic score to each and every event, as well as set up a standard set of notes every time this particular event is entered. You have the option out of those 11 system-defined main events not to display certain ones. So if you're not going to use them, when the collector brings up the event box, that particular main event will not be an option or even presented to the collector. This is an option that will allow you to always expand this particular event. If the smart code is set up that forces notes, has a follow-up date, letters, or recalls, that information will be displayed here to let you know that we're following each and every aspect of the smart code that is being applied to the account. So that information will show there. So now if we were to look at the flow of an attempt by a collector and how it is set up and the options that they have available to them, I want to take a look at, if they click on attempt, what are the sub-events that are going to be displayed or the options that the collector has to choose from. And those are shown here, A through F, whether it be telephone residence, POE, cell phone. Let's take a look at the telephone residence and the setup for this. Again, we're going to define a description of this particular sub-event because this is a user-defined sub-event. The smart code will be assigned to this. Do we want to apply it if this sub-event is expandable? Is there a dynamic score that should be associated with this? What is the standard note that should be applied? And do we want to return to the sub-level after this particular smart code is applied? Are we allowing notes? As you will see, no. There is no letter allowed, there is no recall allowed, and there is no follow-up that is allowed when this particular sub-event is chosen. And when we go to the actual account details screen and we go through this process, we'll take a look at how that appears to the collector. So when we go back, if the collector clicked on telephoned residence as their option, what will be displayed to them next? Well, they have now several additional options to choose from, whether it be from no answer, temporarily disconnected, doesn't speak English. All of these can trigger additional sub-events for that particular collector. If we take a look at left message, what are the sub-events behind that? Well, who did we leave the message with? Was it with a spouse, a child, answering machine, or other? So you can see here how the documentation process for compliance and your clients is automatically taken care of. We're giving the collector a few choices that they need to make a decision on. What did I do on this particular call with this account, point and click, it's documented. The collector doesn't need to do anything additional. So if I left a message with the spouse, is there anything additional I'm going to see? No, period. End of story. Left a message with the spouse. The collector will then be taken back to their main events screen. And then they can move on to the next account. So while we do that, let's go ahead and take a look at the account details screen. Here we are seeing the new redesigned account details screen. Before we go into the different aspects and area of this particular screen, I'd like to take you through the events as we saw earlier with the setup and how the attempt will actually work. I would like for you to notice that there are only 8 main events being displayed to the collector at this time. So here I'm going to click on the attempt. I'm going to click on telephone residence. Within my telephone residence, I want to update. Now you can choose to display the collector screen or the smart code screen to the collectors, or you can just allow it to process and update. I want you to notice that within the grayed out areas, the collector cannot update any of that information. So let's update this and move to the next one. Well, what happened? I left a message. Here I can enter a promise amount or a follow-up date. If the areas are white, then you can update those fields. If they are gray, they are not able to be updated. So I want to update. Well, who did I leave the message with? I left the message with the spouse. And update, and then it brings me right back to my main events. So I'm back here at the event list. I can click exit and move on to my next account. Now, what I'd like to do is I'd like to show you the different areas and aspects of the new layout for the account detail screen. But with the Events tab and the Events window that is presented to the collector, your collectors no longer have to memorize or know the particular smart codes. The option is still there for collectors to manually enter smart codes, but now when you're training new collectors, with the Events window, it opens up, what did you do? I made an attempt, I telephoned the residents, I left a message with the spouse, and that is all that they need to know in order to update and properly document the accounts that they are working. So I'd like to take you up here to the top left hand of the screen where you're going to see the client information, the collector owner, and the account number. As with our other RMEx package, the case number for the primary is going to be grayed out or highlighted, so you know that this is the primary account. For the collectors, if they were working a linked account or the linked account was presented, they could just click on Get Primary and the primary account would be presented to them. As you can see over here, we have the phones, and if you are using the ITEL dialer, these buttons here you can click on and will automatically go ahead and make that phone call for you. Down here is where we're going to see all of our guarantor information. We have an indicator here as to whether or not the party or the debtor owns or rents their home. We have the addition of the email address and whether or not we have permission to email or do both, which is send mail and email letters to them. Social security number, date of birth, employer, other information. We have the spouse information here, and additional information to the account details screen is going to be our letters pending, our close report, and underneath that you're going to see the close code. Over to the far right is where you're going to now see the description codes on the accounts, and the description code meanings will be displayed. The collector will be able to scroll through that information so they can see exactly what has happened on the account. In the very center here is where we're going to see all of our account information, the amount placed, the balance, whether or not we have linked accounts, last transaction, here's where our last letter is, payment information, post-dated check information is all here in the center section of the screen, easily accessed and viewed by the collectors. Down here we have our payments, temporary notes, and our permanent notes. And again, this is an option that is able to be scrolled through by the collectors on the account detail screen, which is a new feature that we have added with the implementation of the GUI. We talked earlier about the functionality that continues to flow through the entire collection package, and that is the same here on the account detail screen. You can use any of your function keys manually, or you can just go down to the bottom and point and click on your function keys. Here we have the payment arrangement screen, and I'd like to show you one of the other additions that we have made within the system. Wherever we have a date that needs to be populated or can be populated within the system, on the GUI application, you now have the option of the point and click calendar pop-up window. Along with that, we've given the icons here a new look. So we know that there is an attorney information indicator. We can point on that and click and it will display the window for us. We don't have to use the function key, but the option is there. It is still available. Go ahead and F7. And it returns us back to the main account details screen. We hope you have enjoyed the presentation of the new RMEx GUI application.